we are here for the true crime segment. Caleb is not able to be with us, so we replaced him with someone better. Ryan Besaw's sister is back again. Sarah, it's great to see you.
You too.
Yeah, to join us for the true crime segment. So just as a side note, we will not be presenting. We won't have anything coming out next week. We're going to be on a little hiatus because it takes energy to create such greatness every single week. It's a lot. So we're gonna just take a week, and then the following week, we will have alternative entertainment, and it's going to be really, really great. So make sure to catch it on that, and we might even throw in a little true crime for our true crime fans. So we shall see on that. But I think that's everything. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, ding, so that you always when we drop greatness. And so Ryan is going to kick us off with one of the mini leagues that is struggling right now. Not even sure which.
I can start off with the NHL if you'd like.
Yes, absolutely.
That works.
All right. So there was a incident that happened way back in June. A man went to social media to say he wanted to do some things to people outside of the Vegas and Panthers game in the Stanley Cup final. So fast forward to now, Matthew DeSavio has been indicted by a Nevada grand jury on felony charges alleging he threatened to carry out a massacre in June at the Stanley Cup final on the Vegas Strip. He was indicted on 6 counts of threatening an act of, I guess, terror. He was going to be terror to people. I don't want to say the word because I don't get.
Don't do that. We got it.
Yeah.
Burglary and stalking. Police and prosecutors said DeSavio, in a series of rambling text messages, phone calls, and social media posts, threatened to, quote, that's terrible.
Fire.
Havoc? I don't know.
To wreak havoc.
There you go.
Firearms and people.
He wanted to unalive people.
There you go.
Yeah, on a large scale.
On a humongous scale. Before Game 5 of the final, at least 3 people contacted the police, according to authorities, in regards to the threat. So that's that.
Lovely.
So yeah, he also mentioned that he wanted to have an event that rivals what happened in 2017 in Vegas, which is the biggest mass in recent history, or I think ever. 60 people were lives were claimed. Yeah. So yeah, he wanted to do that, and
he had a goal.
Yeah. Well, he didn't think too well because people were like, "No, we're not gonna let you do that."
Which is great.
Yeah.
Say something, see something, say something. Unless you're being like, you don't want to be like one of those racist people on Twitter, that they catch like the rants because somebody's trying to like pick up a package at their end of their driveway. But like in general, if you see something, say something. Absolutely.
I guess, yeah. Pretty much. So what do you think about that? That's pretty crazy, right?
Yeah.
Goodness.
I'm glad he told people instead of creating one of those crazy manifestos like some, back in the 90s when they didn't have phones and you had to like try to find their website and like they may have posted it somewhere and they're like, oh, it was harder back then before phones. Okay. So like, I'm glad he got chatty about it.
I just can't believe somebody that actually, maybe he wanted to get caught.
Maybe.
I'm kind of surprised that he has friends if he's this kind of individual, but I mean, anyway.
All right, moving on. A big game happened last week in college football. Colorado State took on Colorado. Um, Colorado State defensive back Henry Blackburn is receiving threats after a late hit. He laid on Travis Hunter.
Yeah, he did. What a jerk. What a jerk. Is this the 1970s? I was like, what in backwoods, like backyard football kind of bullshit is this? Because they got him looking like it's the 1970s and he's like what is it, the assassin or something out there, it's the Soul Patrol again, and it's like, are you serious right now? And then he didn't get ejected. I'm like, what kind of foolery is college football if they accept this kind of thing? See, I don't even have the time or the energy for that. Like, I get that he got threats because they didn't handle the situation appropriately. I mean, he was trying to like show off like some 1950s moves, and then didn't get ejected, and that guy, and then they put the guy who got hit and like died for a second on the side of the field, they put him back out in the game again, like a quarter later. Like, do they have any kind of protocols in the CAA? Like, are you kidding me? And then he had to like get carted off or whatever at the end because he was like half alive, like trying to like still go on. Like, are you kidding me? So not only did they not eject him, they for doing like I don't even know what kind of hit, like ridiculous, like blast from the past of the 70s Steelers and Raiders. And then like once that went wrong, they're like, oh, you know what, you can just go back out there, and they don't have anybody there to say that's a bad idea. Like, I cannot.
It was getting chippy before the game even started, so you knew something might have happened.
I'm not arguing that, and I love a good fight. There is nothing I love more than some chippiness in a game. But my issue is he should have been ejected, and if that's not a college football rule, it should be, because what the fuck? And then he shouldn't have been put out back in the game. Like, he could, God only knows what could have been like internal injuries after something like that. Like, how stupid. So they need, somebody should get fired for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, he actually went to the media during his press conference, asking for calling for forgiveness. I mean, he said, "quote This is a young man trying to make it in life. He does not deserve a threat over a game," which is true, but like at the same time, isn't that targeting? Like, that should be targeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah, like leave it to the league to do the justice, even though they did a crap job, but like that's not for you. And like clearly he has some issues if he thought that that was like an appropriate thing to do. So like questionable, but college football is competitive. If it's within the rules to not get ejected after that or whatever, like then that's what it is. And like definitely displayed a lot of grossness, but we don't have to threaten everybody who does something bad when we don't even know them. Or like maybe they promote that kind of thing on the team. Like, I saw somebody in the NFL who went to that school was also very violent this week. So maybe if they just have everybody getting concussions every 2 seconds during practice and it's their MO. So like, I just lay off. Okay.
Do as Julie says.
Yeah.
Lay off.
Yeah, get a life.
All right.
Know this guy.
Chillax. Take a chill pill, people. All right.
And college football, step it up.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Your shit. All right. Let's move it on to something that's absolutely ridiculous.
Because the rest of this hasn't been.
Yeah. We're gonna finish it off with some football for me.
Mm-hmm.
NFL, mind you. Apparently a lawn care service needed some free equipment. Chicago PD are investigating a burglary at Soldier Field. Thieves took $100K in equipment that included ride-along mowers and John Deere Gator utility vehicles that belonged to contractors and not the Bears organization.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
In them, that would be so funny if you just see somebody like leaving the lawnmower.
So it said that offenders ripped protective fence off its foundation to get into the to the equipment. No arrests have been made quite yet.
Oh my god. You really must
So
be hard up for equipment.
the lawn care service really needed that equipment and they
guess
couldn't
so.
afford it.
The
So
economy and well, everywhere is tough, and probably also in Chicago. And they're like, "Look, we're trying to sell these black market or something," you know.
it's
But
it's hard out here for lawn care.
it would have been epic if they had been a little bit more
Thorough.
Discreet.
Discreet, yeah.
well, no, I mean like if it like less discreet, like if they had been like riding them around, like I would have lived for that. Anyway.
Oh. So yeah, that's what I got going on for a true crime this week. Julie, would you like to update our viewers?
No, yes, I would.
You wouldn't like to? Okay, you don't have to. All right, we're done.
There
See
was
ya.
so much, and because we had some special true crime segments for 2 weeks while I was on vacation, and they were wonderful. I have a lot because you know criminals don't stop criming just because I need a vacation. That's for sure. So we're going to be revisiting every update to the cases that we've been discussing. If there was one, I checked everybody, but some people had held it together since the last time. So Jimmy Graham, as we recall, on August 19th, he was under suspicion of being under the influence of drugs and obstructing police officers while acting erotic. well,
Yep.
acting erratic.
Being very erotic in the
I
middle
know,
of
I'm
the
trying
street.
to imagine what that would look like while he's like obstructing the police officers and under them. Okay. He will not be facing any charges over that arrest. So that's the update there. He thanked LAPD via ESPN. Thanks for the LAPD and just how quickly kind of everything went down and kind of he loves that kind of how helpful they were through the process. Right now we're just dealing with all that personally. So he thanked the LAPD, which is nice. They don't get a lot of that for good reason. And the case was rejected by the Orange County DA's office due to insufficient evidence to prove a crime beyond a reasonable doubt. So he is scot-free on that. Yeah, not a lot of interesting. Okay. I mean, it's highly interesting, but what do you really say? Like, go Jimmy Graham. I hope you see you on the Saints, because as you'll hear later in the update, there'll be plenty more Saints who are being like fined and suspended for things. So we'll get there. So Jamar Chase, a little baby mama drama. His the mother of his child, Jamar Chase Jr. Has had a supposed change of heart apparently when it comes to her $50K monthly child support payment request. So she is willing to be more reasonable. She's been communicating with just Chase's manager. So he's been speaking to her to try to like bring it down a notch. So she's gonna accept $5K a month instead of 50. And
How noble.
and he already paid out in addition to that 6 months of rent for her and the baby, which was $22K, and she was not going to compromise on the Range Rover, so she got $150K Range Rover SUV delivered already. So I looked at it because she's gonna be living in Houston, where she was the whole time, except for when she moved to California to have the baby, so she could do the case there, so that because they have better child support laws. So anyway, now she's back to Texas. So I looked at it, and 22K a month breaks down to a little over 4K a month. And I've been to Houston. I know that it can be quite, the economy is thriving and it's expensive to live everywhere, but for that kind of amount, you could get a 4-bedroom in almost every neighborhood, or a 3-bedroom apartment literally almost anywhere, including the majority of the upper crust neighborhoods. And it's almost enough to rent two-bedroom apartments anywhere. So I think that'll probably be able to the baby will be living good, which is what should be important. And there's no update on the restraining order girl who says he has her baby too. And another reminder to Jamar Chase that no glove, no love, so you don't have to end up in these crazy scenarios. So any
Wow.
thoughts on that one? 50-5.
Well, Bengals fan, any thoughts on that one?
Wow. Now that I'm all caught up.
That's why you be careful who you lay down with.
NFL
Yeah.
felons.
Oh my
Okay, but I'm gonna say, like, if you're gonna plot this, that they're not a bad way to go if you're trying to get a huge look. The people I know who get child support every month, they get like $200. Like, it is like nothing. So I'm like, look, if you go and do it, I guess like this might not be the worst way to go. Is all I'm saying.
Get your bag, lady.
Yeah.
I mean, really, like she's set for the next 18 years. Okay. She don't have to work.
And the child set.
Like she cares about that. I'm not gonna say that she doesn't. My bad. I'm sure she's very concerned with her 50,000 demand.
Yep.
Yeah.
She held that child for ransom.
Yeah, I mean, it really helps promote the father-son relationship that we know is so important when she's asking for huge quantities of money and Range Rovers and houses and stuff. So great. All right, so we got some Antonio Brown fun. We have over a page and a half of Antonio Brown fun. We had talked about him originally because he had a warrant for his arrest because of not paying child support. So not always a great gamble, I guess, but you also end up in jail if you don't do it, and then you have to do it. So, you know, eventually you're going to get that coin. So, but he has not actually been detained, and it's not clear if he's made any payments on that. So, he's back in the news for multiple things, though. He had a lawsuit in October of 2022 for selling an individual a fake watch in July of last year. And on Tuesday, September 19th, he was required to pay the man $169K. He said in response on social media, put that shit on with a laughing emoji. So not quite sure what that even means. But kind of ironic that he's out here selling people fake jewelry. He tweeted last Sunday that it was CTE Sundays. That was his hashtag. And something I think the NFL could get on because they certainly have enough cases. With a photo of him that says CTE, he's got it. Like a photo of him, and then that was overlaid. And no arguments here. He probably does. And that's not me being snarky. So, you may have seen that he had some beef with Tony over Twitter this week. And he actually showed an incredible amount of poise for a man who waves firearms at people that he does business with, the Arena League. We talked about this. So yeah, he had a surprisingly good mentorship moment with Tony, who DM'd him to keep his name out of AB's mouth. Is that what everybody says now after what's his name said that at the Oscars? Like, calm down. So instead of keeping his name out of his mouth, he addressed it on his podcast the following Tuesday. Well, this Tuesday. After saying young players are reacting to what people are saying and aren't really focused, Brown finishes off with, so my whole thing was only like, you got a lot of talent, Tony. Let's keep focused, man. Don't worry about what people say. It's not about what people say. It's about what you do. So, man, do your thing. Shout out to Tony. Stay out of my DMs, man. So kind of actually supportive and probably like good advice from a veteran player that nobody was expecting. So he offered himself as a potential OC for the Steelers after they fire Canada, which he insists upon happening, especially if he didn't get more than 20 points on last Monday's game, which they did. So he's kind of with the rest of us saying, can the man, and I would personally think him on a coaching staff would be pretty funny. He talks about Aaron Rodgers, and this was just too good. This was just too good. Says what we're thinking again on Monday. The Dolphins don't make you calm. There's no evidence for the Dolphins. They probably whistle. See, that's what Aaron Rodgers has, weak legs. He can't get his legs up. He listens to Dolphins making out and shit. I told you he's going to New York, and then they got MetLife, man. Brett Favre, they said, send the news. They listened to Dolphins making out. It's therapy now? This is mental health right here. So that was pretty funny. I really appreciated his hot take on Aaron Rodgers' Dolphin situation. This one happened a little bit further back, but he does rap performances, in case you didn't know, and he was at the Potbellies for an FSU game in Florida earlier this month. And due to heat and AB's waistband ripping, he took his pants off and he threw them into the crowd. But he still had his phone in the pants.
Oh my god.
Yes. So because the fans were so excited, they actually posted it on social media. So he did get his phone back because he was able to connect with them. But he had to trade his jacket that he wore that night and God knows what else. And that fan was seen wearing the jacket on social media. So
Alright then.
yeah, kind of there's so much potential for true crime in that story, but it resolved itself every direction. But wow. Any thoughts about it, Tony?
That bitch crazy.
Yeah, there you go.
Mental health right here on CT Sundays. So Kevin Hart, he updated us earlier this year on Jamie Foxx's health. He talks about a car injury from last year. Oh no, he talks about a car injury from an accident in 2019, but he will now tell us if he's still in a wheelchair. So we will have to keep up on that. If you'll recall, he ended up in a wheelchair after trying to race a former NFL player. And that he tore a lot of things. He's not even sure about the name of all the things that he tore. So he was wheelchair bound for a period of time. No update on if he's out yet, but I'll keep an eye out. Yeah. So Jarvis Jones, we mentioned him right before the break because it was on Labor Day weekend. He did speeding and reckless driving on on September 1st. He was released on $2,400 bond an hour after arrest on. So we found out that he will be facing internal discipline, according to the Georgia coach Kirby Smart. Coach Jarvis Jones is a coach now for Georgia. After he did the speeding and reckless driving. So he didn't provide detail because he said it's a personnel matter and he can't really comment on it. And we haven't had any more details about former NFL and now coaching staff of Georgia, Jarvis Jones. But we'll be keeping an eye on that too. Fred Smoot, as we know, was arrested last month, former NFL. He had a warrant for his arrest for not paying child support. We are really getting a theme here. How many arrests go out for this every? Some in my own. No, I'm not going to say that. Okay, so he had a warrant for his arrest, but it was served to the wrong address. So he didn't get it, but he did turn himself in. He was released, but they made him stay in the slammer for like 24 hours. But we haven't really heard anything more about if he paid up or not. But he was on the Kevin Sheehan show on Wednesday to talk about Sam Howell. So we don't have an update on the rest, but we do know that he is still out and kicking. So, yeah. So Dennis Hernandez is Aaron Hernandez's former sibling. I mean, still a sibling.
Former sibling?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Former fellows Aaron Hernandez, he's the brother. Okay. He was banned from possessing any firearms. So that's an update. Although he's still detained with no bond and hopefully receiving medical intervention for several mental illnesses his family says he has allegedly. So he probably won't be getting any firearm opportunities in there, but we certainly don't need that combination with him threatening to firearm up some schools. So there we go. Last week, I believe it was Ryan talked about Adam Packman Jones. He was arrested. Oh yes, on 9/11.
9/11.
Was that the thing? With
Yeah.
Oh,
There's something with some person.
no. Adam
Oh.
Pac-Man Jones was being was obnoxiously drunk
Oh, okay. That
on
was
an
the one.
airplane
Okay.
and decided to use some language that is frowned upon on 9/11.
So
Oh,
basically,
God.
Especially 9/11. Never good.
Especially 9/11.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's using this airport arrest video to tease his new rap song. He he did that on Wednesday, teased us. So we don't exactly know when it will be coming out, but it should be soon. And so he'll be facing 3 misdemeanors and will be in court next week regarding the incident. So stay tuned for his rap song because he says that there's 2 sides to every story, which is true, but still an interesting way to
God.
have the saga.
This dude's rap sheet is like longer than my arm.
Yeah, and he's using the footage for a song, which I think is, look, he's a cup half full individual is what he is. So Michael Oher, Ryan talked about him a while ago, so I've been kind of keeping up with what's happening with his court case.
The 2 piles of shit.
Yeah, the Tuohys are on the hot seat again because in their 2010 book, In a Heartbeat, Sharing the Power of Cheerful Giving, written by the Tuohys and co-author Sally Jenkins, the term adopt and adoption is referenced 35 times. The word guardian does appear, but never conservator or conservatorship. The daughter also states in the book that it was her understanding that the family was adopting Oher. And I believe she was still minor at that time. I'm not sure when this was all going down. But anyway, she was also under that impression. There's fun quotes like, the biggest event for all of us that spring 2004 was our adoption of Michael. Michael was now our 3rd child. We've already put him on car insurance policies, added him to the trust funds, and written him into our will. There's over a dozen references in the book to adopting Oher. The Tuohys referred to themselves as Oher's adopted parents, and Leanne would even say, I personally think I birthed Michael, which is gross. And 8 years ago, we didn't go out looking to adopt a child. A miracle simply hit us in the face, probably with a football. Tuohys agreed to end the conservatorship and that they said they never acted on the their right to control his finances that comes along with the conservatorship. But then we find out that they never filed accounting of his money to the state in the last 20 years, required legally by conservatorship because the state never told them they had to. They never filed the receipts for allegedly splitting the profits from the movie evenly with Oher, although they said they paid taxes on it, which sounds to me like controlling finances of their conservator, but what do I know? And looking forward to how that pans out. But I can see why he would be confused about the concept of being adopted. I'm just going to read this one more time. The biggest event for all of us that spring 2004 was our adoption of Michael. Yep, so I cannot wait.
Little did they know they forgot to file the paperwork.
Yep.
For 20 years.
That's
yeah, and I am so here for it because they didn't even do what they were supposed to do for the conservatorship, and then they allegedly paid taxes on his money, which sounds like control of his finances, but then they also don't have any receipts. So things aren't looking great in their corner. I mean, it's not to say that his corner looks 100% wonderful, but did they forget that they wrote this book? Okay. They used their generosity towards this child to fund a book, which in itself is problematic. But anyways, so back to the Saints, which we were talking about a little bit earlier with Jimmy Graham. So Marcus May. The Saints, Marvin. Why did I say, is it Marvin or Marcus?
I believe it's Marcus.
Yes, my bad. I was thinking of Marvin Gaye. That's what it was. Okay. Marvin May was suspended for 3 games with no pay and will return on week 5 due to a 2021 DUI. He hit another individual in Florida who civilly sued him in 2021, with the settlement being reached last month. He was charged with a DUI, damage to property, and person leaving damage to property and persons, and then leaving the scene of the crash. So a hit and run. He's joining Camara with the 3-game suspension thing for his plastic surgery on somebody's face. But Saints Jake Heiner got 6 games due to violating the head policy, which makes us all question how you can hit someone while you're under the substance or realign someone's face and still get less games than somebody who used the substance. So NFL, if you want to clue us in on that. He initially had a criminal case scheduled to start on July 25th, but it was canceled, and then there's a new hearing on August 17th because he changed pleas to not being guilty to being guilty. And he got 6 months of probation for it all. He was in legal hot water last year after being arrested for allegedly pointing a firearm at a car full of juvenile girls, as in underage girls, because he's a man like that. He was charged with aggravated A with a firearm, but the DA of Jefferson Parish, which is right outside of New Orleans, said in March of this year that they declined to prosecute due to insufficient evidence. So that's Marcus May joining a fun cast of suspensions.
It's another in the long list of dummies.
Yeah.
Dummy.
Pays
Yeah.
our bread and butter. Bread and butter. So a new one is Dion Lewis, the former Super Bowl winning New England Patriot. Dion Lewis was arrested on Monday at 2 p.m. at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Tampa, Florida, after being unruly and belligerent and accused of causing disturbances and refusing to leave the premises, because everyone who's doing well in life is starting disturbances in a casino at 2 p.m. on any given Monday. So he's been hot in the news for that. So we have our little Chicago Bears nightmare, and we'll be following this very closely. The news has been dropping this week about the Bears' impropriety. DC Allen Williams has immediately resigned, according to sources like Adam Schefter. So allegedly his home and the house hall were raided, although it seems that the house hall was not. But I mean, it's all rumor and conjecture at this point for the most part, in connection to ongoing investigation that may or may not be related to child porn possession. Former Bear and now FBI agent Charles Peanut Tillman, and they said you can't have a life after football. This man is an FBI agent. It's awesome. Has been working the case and broke the news to the head coach, who became emotional. Which, can we define that? Was that like a tiny tear? Did he start yelling? Anyway, no matter how much this head coach is being paid, it is absolutely not enough for all of this. Can we just agree? There's a ton of speculation at this point, and we'll stay hot on the trot for updates. Things are being described as rumors, but there's often truth in those in the beginning of the investigation. But obviously, we are not sure exactly where the truth lies, so we will just keep an eye on that and let you know what happens. So, a Patriots fan died on Monday after being at a game. Y'all heard about that one?
I heard about it.
Yeah, but I heard.
Oh
Yeah,
my god.
Yeah, that one was wild. So fan Dale Mooney, 53 of Newmarket, New Hampshire, died just it was maybe really late Sunday night or early Monday after the game. He was found at the facility's upper deck in the Patriot Stadium just before 11 p.m. by police and medical personnel. He was brought to a hospital where he was pronounced dead, and they have multiple videos of the incident from multiple angles from multiple videos because people were filming from all angles because Mooney had been arguing with a Dolphins fan for most of the game, and an incident occurred at the end where Mooney was punched twice in the head by the Dolphins fan and collapsed. No charges have been filed yet, and an investigation is open and ongoing. And the Norfolk County DA says initial preliminary autopsy results did identify an undisclosed medical issue that may have caused the death and not traumatic injury related to the punching. So the cause and manner of death remain undetermined at this time, pending further testing. So that is a Dolphin fan I wouldn't want to be.
that actually makes 2 fights in a week at an
Yeah.
NFL stadium.
Yeah.
Thursday
I think-
night, a
insane.
Giants fan was left bloodied by a couple Niners fans
People are
on Thursday
ridiculous.
night. Yep.
Jeez. I mean, at least that person is alive. I mean, how traumatic for the fans and even the person who was not intending to kill him to see him fall like that and then have to cart him out. I mean, like, how awful for the entire situation. And of course, particularly for Dale Mooney, and our thoughts are with his family. So we'll be keeping up on it, if their charges, what they determine. So there's a few missed cases that seem small at the time, but have withstood the test of time as being important. So 2 more. Buster Scrine, the former NFL DB, is a Canadian fraudster, allegedly. He is facing 15 charges for fraud and possession of property obtained by crime. He was arrested in Toronto Airport when he was trying to re-enter the US last month. He allegedly defrauded banks of more than $100K across Canada. And there's evidence from numerous financial institutions in Ontario, although it's thought that he could have gone all over Canada. In his crime spree of nearly a year that ended at the end of the summer this year. Scrine opened bank accounts with fraudulent checks telling people he was former NFL. And Buster occasionally got the money before the checks cleared. Just as a reminder, he played for 11 years in the league after being drafted by the Broncos in 2011. He also played for the Jets, Bears, 49ers, and Titans throughout his career. So we now have a criminal mastermind who's on fraud in Canada, who is former NFL. So that's a new roster checkpoint for us.
Yeah.
And last but not least is Bashad Breeland, another NFL Super Bowl winner with the Chiefs this time, was arrested last month in Charlotte. He was arrested in a stolen Mercedes-Benz from Florida. The car contained allegedly roughly 62 grams of the shrooms and other paraphernalia related things. He also had multiple firearms, including ones that start with AR and end with the number after 14. And ones that start with an A and a K and end with a number that rhymes with 47. Thank you, YouTube. And that is all we have this week. So quite the roster. We had a big catch up because there were so many. I'm sure we'll have another one coming up. So that is the madness that we find ourselves in true crime in the NFL. So any parting thoughts?
If you see some gator material and a lawnmower being used in the Chicago area, please alert your local authorities.
Or don't.
Or don't. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. If you're getting your lawn care taken care of by these people and you'd like what they're doing,
How about
Yeah,
it?
if your local landscaper all of a sudden has much better equipment, don't ask any questions.
that's right. Do not question the better taken care of yard.
Question, just do it.
That has a little Bears emblem in the
No, it wasn't owned by the Bears. It was owned
I
by.
know, but maybe they had
contractor.
it because it was in the stadium.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, you know, the little fan slapped a sticker on the back, but don't worry about it. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Well, those are good parting words, Ryan. Yeah, so we will see everyone in our regular filming in, I guess it technically would be 3 weeks because we won't be here next week and we'll have alternative super entertaining things the following week. And thank you for joining us again, Sarah. Always a pleasure. Yes, Ryan's.
You're welcome.
I mean, if you want to replace Ryan any given week, that's totally acceptable.
Hey, what do you know?
Have at it. You can take true crime if you'd like. You like that stuff.
Depends on what it is, but yeah, maybe.
Tell you
Okay.
what, if you really want somebody to do true crime,
Oh my God, Megan.
my fiance, she really loves
She
true
loves
crime.
it.
Okay, well, I don't know if we're recruiting, but I mean, we can.
No recruitment allowed. Not happening.
Yeah, all right. Well, that is all, folks, and we will catch you on the flip side.
Corporate check tape. Moving on.